Alright, people. Can I tell you? The week after Halloween, the week after our visitors, feeling kind of discombobulated ever since this time change happened because a couple of things. Number one, we had guests for a week, like 2 groups that overlapped. And totally enjoyable, really happy that happened. It was really nice for a kid to have both sets of grandparents on her birthday. But after a week, you know, it's kind of exhausting because you don't have your personal downtime. And like I didn't work out for the whole week because in the evenings, you know, we were entertaining people. While it was nice that we got to go out to eat a lot, because you know we normally never do. So that was nice. I probably gained, I think I gained like 4 pounds. But I'm just exhausted, people. I'm exhausted. The time change, always rough for me in the fall. Always. I hate it. And then on top of that, the night of the time change, it was the night that I was babysitting that baby overnight, and I didn't get any sleep. And the thing with that is, I don't sleep through the night as is. Like, I still get woken up in the night several times. So it's not that that's not the thing that set me over the edge. Which is why I agreed to do it, because I normally wake up like every 3 or 4 hours. What was hard for me is that I couldn't sleep in between because he's not my baby, and I wasn't comfortable, I don't know, like falling all the way to sleep, and you know, in case he was going to wake up. You know, with your own kids, you like are kind of in sync with them, and you hear them and all that kind of thing. Well, that didn't happen. And so I couldn't really ever sleep because I was like listening for him, even though he was, you know, a foot from my face. So, you know what I mean. So that, it kind of was like I decided to stay up all night, you know what I mean. And then the time change, boom. I mean, it's just kicking my ass. I hate the time change. It's really hard on me. I think if you're like an early morning person, this time change probably doesn't really affect you much. But for me, I mean, the sun is coming up an hour earlier. It comes up before we need to wake up, but it wakes us up. And so the kid is getting up like an hour before she used to get up. And then on top of that, baby doesn't nap normally. But because we're getting up so early, then she's taking a nap, and then she's staying up crazy late. So I'm like parenting from, you know, I've got kids awake pretty much from 7 until midnight, you know, now. Because if baby's falling asleep and she's taking these crazy 3-4 hour naps and you can't wake her up. And then she, of course, stays up 3 or 4 hours, you know, later than her normal bedtime. So that gets you to like 11 or 12. It's horrible. It's horrible. So I'm having no downtime now, period. And I'm just exhausted. I just can't like recoup where I'm at. Other friends. I don't know if we told you this, but you know the job that Mr. F did not get? It was in Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor, people. Still not over it. Still really sad and depressed about that. And here's why. When we left Ann Arbor, we did not think we would ever be going back there. There are 2 magazines, 2 big magazines, 2 car magazines in Ann Arbor. But there's only 2. It's not like a publishing, Michigan's not a publishing hub. And so there are pretty much those 2 jobs that are of Mr. F's caliber of work, right? And they don't turn over because there's not like a lot of, and who's going to leave that job? There's not another job to go to. It's not like in New York where people switch from magazine to magazine all the time. Okay. So the whole time we were there, those jobs did not come up. And we moved. And we pretty much were like, those jobs are never going to come up, you know what I mean? And magazines are kind of funny because people get promoted in-house, or, you know, like all sorts of stuff happens, like, and we let that go. Of course, as soon as we move, you know, a year later, the job opens up. Of course. Well, he made it to like the top 2 people, you know, and then he was just not the person that they chose. But this process went on for 3 months, and he had to do all this work for them, you know, which they now have, and they can do what they want with, and that's the part that sucks. Um, and all along, I mean, they openly said, factually, he was better than the people they had doing the magazine before him, you know, like before the team before. And, like, no question about it. Obviously, the other person must be too, or the other person must have some kind of thing, or maybe the other person is local. Kind of fear that part. And because 3 weeks before the interview, she flat out told him on the phone he was her top choice. So, and he was obviously the last person to interview. You know, so I don't know if it really came down to something logistical like that. That's really heartbreaking, because we would have moved ourselves, you know. But whatever. We don't know. There's no way to know. Either way, it's like, you know, when you get so close to something and then it's taken away from you, kind of devastating. And part of this whole thing was, we'd given up on living there, but then having the opportunity to go back, you know, there's just so much Ann Arbor has to offer over Asheville, for us. We already have, like, a pretty substantial social network. It's close. It's not living with my family, but it's close to family. The schools are just way better, you know, and they're free. I mean, you just can't get a better school. I mean, it's really one of the nation's best school systems, and it's free. And added on top of all that, that job paid much more than this job that we have now. And the housing market in Michigan is tanked, people. So it blows if you live there, but if you don't, it is the time to go, because we can buy a house for half of the cost of our current house here, half, and have it be just as nice, if not nicer. So all of that, we were like, oh, it's like the perfect storm. It's totally, you know, it's a job he would really be proud of. It's like a bigger, much bigger title magazine. It will pay more. It's more prestigious. It's in a town where we are established. There's great free schools. We won't have to have private school. And the houses are cheap. We can totally reverse our financial situation. I mean, what has happened to us here, I have no idea what time I'm at now. Okay. What's happened to us here is, as you may know, we moved here for a job that was supposed to be paying us more than what we were, you know, like, allow us to have one job. He was working 2 jobs, making more money, but allow us to have one well-paying job. And then within, you know, what's it been, 18 months, having had 3 cuts, you know, we're down to, we don't have full benefits. We are not making anywhere close to what we were recruited to be making. And on top of that, they're giving him a 30% work increase. It's impossible, you know, the situation's impossible. And houses here are very expensive. We didn't move here thinking we would only be here for 2 years. So we bought a home, you know, because we sold a home and we had a substantial down payment to put on a home. But we ended up having to get a house that was more, you know, more than what we had wanted to get in order to be in the part of town we wanted to be in and have a nice home that we didn't need to sink a whole bunch of money into. This has turned out to be a disaster for us because, you know, we could afford that mortgage based on the income he was making when we bought the house, but we can't really afford it now. I mean, we can pay our bills, but we're not going to go into foreclosure or anything or go bankrupt. We can pay our bills, but to do it, you know, it's like we're living a super no-frills life, which is why it was nice to have all my parents come in, because we got to go out to eat and do things we don't normally get to do. And my mom is now sending us to Disney World for Thanksgiving, which is awesome because you may know we love to go there and we have not been able to go and we haven't been able to have like a real vacation. And people, we need a vacation at this point. We need to be able to just have a complete week off and regroup and, you know, focus on doing something fun together as a family. Because we spend a lot of time, I mean, we're happy. I mean, we're happy people and we're a happy family and, you know, we're happy in a lot of ways, but we don't have a lot of family time because he has to work so much. So, so that's that whole saga. We will see what happens. There is still a #2 position at the Ann Arbor magazine. He was interviewing for the #1 position. He was in the top running for the #1 position. The person who is number 1, who got that job, gets to choose the number 2. Now, if they have a number 2 where they are now, they can bring that person. There is the potential, while maybe minute, that they could choose Mr. F. So that's way on the back burner. I'm trying not to even go there because I do think it takes a special kind of person to want to hire their competitor to be on their team. You know, it may or may not be a smart move. So, like Mr. F would do it, but I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't. So, okay, what am I at now? Alright, that's all I got for you. And then, that's that.